In 336 BC, the most powerful man in the world traveled across all of Greece just to find a beggar. When he finally arrived, he found an old man lying on the ground, soaking up the sun next to a broken clay tub that served as his home. The king approached him and introduced himself. "I'm Alexander the Great. Kingdoms bow before me, and I possess vast riches." The old man looked at him and replied, "I'm Diogenes, and this life is enough for me." Intrigued by the man's indifference, Alexander made him an offer. "I've heard much of your wisdom. Is there anything I can do for you?" Diogenes, still lying on the ground without a care in the world, looked at the king and said, "I don't want anything from you. I just want you to move out of my sun. You're blocking my light." The soldiers laughed, waiting for the king to punish such insolence. But Alexander stayed silent for a moment and then said, "Don't mock this man. If I weren't Alexander the Great, I'd want to be Diogenes." How could a man who owned the world envy a beggar lying on the ground? Anyone who understands the answer to that question understands 4 simple truths about freedom. Lesson 1. What you own also owns you. Diogenes had almost nothing, but among the few things he carried was a wooden bowl he used to drink water. It was basically his only personal possession. One day, while walking near a spring, he saw a boy kneel down, cup his hands together, and drink water directly like that. Diogenes stopped. He watched the boy for a few seconds. Then, he took the bowl out of his bag and threw it away. He said a child had just beaten him in simplicity. The lesson he left behind is one of the hardest things to see in our own lives. At some point, without warning, the relationship between a person and their stuff flips. At first, the house, the car, the furniture, and the savings are there to serve a purpose. They were earned to support the life you wanted to live. But if we are not careful, we slowly begin accumulating far more than we actually need. The more we accumulate, the more attention our possessions demand in return. Gradually, more of life gets spent maintaining, organizing, protecting, and paying for what we own. It's easy to fall for the illusion that the next thing you buy will bring what's missing. Our entire culture is built on that promise, that buying new things is the key to being happy. But the joy of a new purchase is usually short-lived. After a little while, the excitement fades, and we find ourselves wanting something new again, stuck in an endless cycle of consuming. People grow old, carrying more than they ever needed, realizing too late that much of what looked like an achievement was actually just weight disguised as prosperity. Not being owned by what we own is a constant struggle in a society that values stuff above all else. But by focusing on experiences, gratitude, and simplicity, we can build a life with real meaning. We have to remember that life's true riches aren't found in things, but in the connections we make and the impact we have on the world around us. Lesson 2. If you need approval, you aren't free. A philosopher named Aristippus had found a comfortable life in the court of the tyrant Dionysius. He flattered the powerful man, and in exchange, he got plenty of food, fine clothes, and a spot among the important people of the time. One day, Aristippus saw Diogenes washing some lentils for dinner and said, "If you learned to please Dionysius, you wouldn't have to live on lentils." Diogenes didn't even look up. He replied, "If you learned to live on lentils, you wouldn't have to flatter Dionysius." This shows us a second truth in Diogenes' way of thinking. A person's freedom is exactly proportional to how much they need from others. The more you need, the more control others have over your life. The less you need, the less room there is for other people to tell you what to do. When we stop listening to ourselves and expressing our own truth, we lose touch with who we are. We get taken over by fear and become hostages to praise, gestures, and the recognition of others. We put our happiness and our self-worth in the hands of people, hoping to get back what we never learned to give ourselves. But seeking approval is like an addiction. It turns everything into a never-ending chase. The lesson isn't that you have to live on lentils. It's realizing that the more things you feel you need to have or show, the more control the world gains over you. Lesson 3. Experiencing is worth more than owning. Diogenes had a short answer whenever someone asked what kind of wine he liked best. With his usual dry humor, he'd say, "The best wine is the one that belongs to someone else." It sounded like a joke, and people would laugh. But like almost everything he said, there was a sharp truth hidden inside. He was talking about a very powerful internal feeling. Most of what we chase our whole lives isn't the object itself. It's the feeling the object promises to deliver. Owning and experiencing are two different things, but modern life has taught us to treat them as the same. When someone wants a house, they're rarely just wanting walls, a roof, and a deed. They're wanting rest, a sense of belonging, and the peace of having their own place to go back to. But the path our culture offers to get those feelings is always the same. Buy it, put it in your name, turn the experience into property. What's worth more to you? A thing or an experience? Experiences bring more happiness and meaning to life than just owning material goods. They shape who we are, create lasting memories, and help us grow. Physical things tend to lose their charm over time. Real-life experience turns knowledge into wisdom, which is vital for our development. Anyone who understands this starts to redesign their life around a different kind of wealth, a wealth made of moments, presence, and learning. You discover that our hearts need experiences that can't be bought with objects, because objects lack the one thing that matters: meaning. Lesson 4. If you always want more, you'll never have enough. Let's look back at that first meeting. Alexander had the world. He had armies, gold, and entire cities surrendering to his command. And yet he couldn't stop. He died at 32 in Babylon, burning with fever, still wanting more. Diogenes, on the other hand, died an old man in the same spot, at peace with the life he'd chosen. This encounter shows us the fourth lesson. Satisfaction doesn't come from winning. It isn't waiting after the next goal or the next purchase. When we feel like something is constantly missing, we need to stop and look at that belief very carefully. That's the very thing that makes it impossible to celebrate what we've achieved, to feel joy, or to just live in the moment. Life isn't just about winning things. You have to leave room for the little craziness we all have. You're free when you spend your time on things that motivate you, things you actually like. It could be seeing new places, writing, dancing, or playing sports. It can be anything or a mix of many things. After all, we're capable of so much. What are you spending your time on? What are your passions? What kind of philosophy do you want to live by? If you don't ask yourself these questions, don't worry. The world will do it for you. And you'll spend your whole life paying bills and buying things, until the moment comes when you realize that your time is the one thing money can't buy. Life is the process. It's the adventure itself. Because in the end, a meaningful life is not built from the things you own, but from the moments that made you feel fully alive.